Hello everybody, this is Zach with Top Deck Nation coming at you today with another deck profile video in preparation for state championships. In the last video we looked at a deck that had pretty much dominated the first week of state championships, and that was Vespiquen Vileplume. And today we're going to be looking at a deck that, really hasn't seen much play as of yet, but you never know, it might. And that's going to be Seismitoad-Slowking. Like I said, this deck hasn't really seen play, and I'm not sure why, because it's a pretty interesting deck with a pretty interesting concept of winning. So, basically, the premise is, we're going to basically Quaking Punch most of the game, and Quaking Punch is great because it's instant item lock. For a double colorless, it's doing 30, which isn't a whole lot, but that's okay. But more importantly, our opponent cannot play items during their next turn, and that is huge considering that a good third of their deck or a good half of their deck are probably item cards to help them, set up, get Pokemon out, maybe attach extra energy with max elixir. The list goes on, but item cards are definitely what kind of fuel most people's or most players' strategies, I should say. So that is the big strategy here. And we also have Grenade Hammer if we want to do 130. That's pretty good if we manage to kind of trap our opponent. Like if they run out of energy, they run out of Pokemon, we can start using Grenade Hammer and start really taking the knockouts at that point. But we're going to be largely focusing on Quaking Punch because it's instant item lock and disruption. But the other half of the deck, the other half of the strategy is taking, removing all of our opponent's energy from play, hopefully, and that's going to be accomplished largely by Slowking. So it has that Royal Flash ability that says once per turn you can flip a coin. If heads, move an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their bench Pokemon. So you can think of all kinds of little like shenanigans you can pull off with this. For example, if let's just say my opponent's active is a Lucario-EX with a strong energy. Well, strong energy can only be attached to a fighting Pokemon, so if I use Royal Flash and I flip heads, well, let's just say I move that strong energy to a Shaman-EX. Well, Shaman's not a fighting type, so it automatically gets discarded. So in many ways, I think this is, in some ways better than a Crushing Hammer or like an Enhanced Hammer, just because I can basically pile a bunch of energy on something that's kind of useless. Like, I can move a bunch of energy to a Hoopa EX or maybe a Bronzong or something that they're never really going to attack with, and they can't really get the energy back because it's not in the discard. They can't use Super Rod, they can't use Fisherman, so arguably in a lot of ways it's better than say like a Crushing Hammer flip or something. So that is why I like this, and because of that we play a 3-3 line. We want to make sure that we can get them out really quickly. We want to make sure that by turn 2, turn 3 or so we have plenty of Slowking out. We're item locking, we're energy disrupting. So that is really the goal of the game. I want to move all their energy to a bunch of bench Pokemon that can't really do anything. And at that point, eventually they run out of energy, and at that point I can just kind of win by doing heavy damage with like Grenade Hammer. But like I said, it is a flip, so it's not always going to be consistent. The luck is not always going to be on your side, so you need other ways to get rid of your opponent's energy, and that's why we play 3 Crushing Hammer here. Normally I like to max out at 4 if I'm playing like an energy disruption deck, but because we play Puzzle of Time is going to let us reuse a lot of resources. So that's why you see a lot of like 1-ofs and 3-ofs in this deck, because I can quickly reuse anything in the deck. So just keep that in mind, even double colorless energy. So Puzzle of Time is pretty awesome. I can rearrange the top 3 cards in my deck, which is pretty good, not bad. But the big effect is letting you put 2 cards from your discard into your hand if you play 2 at the same time. So that's pretty cool. There's also a way to get 3 cards back, pretty much. If I have a Puzzle of Time in the discard, I can use 2 Puzzle of Time to get the Puzzle of Time in the discard plus something else, and then later in the game I can use that 3rd Puzzle of Time with another one I draw into and draw 2 more cards. So that's just in case you do have to discard 1 early, not to worry, you can still get 3 cards back eventually. You can get most of the benefit. So, like I said, we are playing Crushing Hammer. We also play Team Flare Grunt to knock off energy. We play 2 of those because we want to draw into it pretty quickly. We don't want to get that prized. We also play a Xerosic. That's pretty good if they're just trying to get around our strategy by putting energy on the bench. If I can't Lysander it up and start using Slowking, at least I can Xerosic to knock off stuff. It's also good against Pokemon tools, so things like Fighting Fury Belt, Floatstone, etc. And that's basically how we're going to win. You know, we're going to do a little bit of damage over time. We're going to item lock. We're going to move their energy to something on the bench that they can't use. But, you know, we also have to be able to tank with Seismitoad. For example, if I'm using Seismitoad to attack and my opponent has an Eviltall-EX, well, they're going to knock me out in 2 hits. So I need a way to stop that. Well, firstly, we play Fighting Fury Belt, and that's going to add 40 HP, which basically puts Seismitoad in range of like a Mega Pokemon. He has 220 HP now, and Quaking Punch is doing 40 damage now. So that doesn't sound like a lot compared to Muscle Band, but just keep in mind, if Quaking Punch is doing 40, if we do the math here, if I use Quaking Punch once, that's 40, and then Grenade Hammer would hit for 140, so that would hit that magic 180 that's going to knock out the majority of EXs. If I do 2 Quaking Punches and a Grenade Hammer, that's going to be doing 220 damage, which is plenty enough to knock out most Mega Pokemon. So just keep that in mind. It is going to be good. We also need some other ways to be defensive, though. So we play 4 Super Scoop Ups. So this is going to double as a switch card or a retreat card. So if I start with Shaman, if I start with Slowpoke, I can quickly use Super Scoop Up. And more than likely, out of a few Super Scoop Ups, I'm going to get a couple heads. So I'll be able to quickly use Quaking Punch. But it's going to let me scoop Seismitoad-EX up if I get damaged. So let's just say Mega Manectric-EX hits me for 110 with Turbo Bolt. Well, I can quickly scoop it up, or I can use Rough Seas here for our stadium. And this is pretty cool because it's effectively gonna heal 30 and make those 2 shots turn into 3 or 4 shots. Like Mega Manectric, for example. Let's just say that I have a Fighting Fury Belt and he uses our opponent uses Turbo Bolt. Well, 220 minus 110 is going to leave me with 110, so normally I would get knocked out next turn, but Rough Seas is going to kind of offset that and heal 30, so it's going to take 2 more turns for him to knock me out. So that's why I think Rough Seas is probably the ideal stadium of choice. You can also try something like Silent Lab because it would shut off abilities, so if you really care about pressuring your opponent early on, that might be another option as well. And also, notably, Rough Seas is going to help you immensely in that Trevenant matchup where you might be item locked as well, and Rough Seas is going to kind of heal that damage from Trevenant Break. So just keep that in mind. But besides that, you know, we have lots of ways to kind of disrupt our opponent here. We do play 1 red card. This is going to pair up well with Delinquent as well as Puzzle of Time. So if you have Puzzle of Time and you have red card and Delinquent in your discard pile, you can basically get your opponent down to 1 card, and that's going to be really, really bad for your opponent. If it's not a supporter or something, then chances are you're probably going to win the game sooner or later. So I like that. You know, we're playing 1 Super Rod just in case we have to discard stuff early on. It's great because I can get energy back as well. As far as our supporter count, it's pretty standard. You know, we play 4 Sycamore because it is the best supporter that we have right now until N comes. In which case, we could probably throw a couple in here. We play 1 Lysander. I wish we could squeeze in room for a second. I don't like prizing Lysander, but I guess as long as you don't prize it, you can always reuse it with VS Seeker and Puzzle of Time. But you could definitely tweak this list to your liking. Like I said, it's just kind of a foundation, but be creative, guys. I'm just kind of showing you what the main strategy here is. You know, I like this list, but definitely tweak it to your liking. We play 1 Judge just because we don't really have a lot of other good supporters, and Judge is pretty good early on. It's kind of like a red card. You know, you may be able to judge your first turn and then Quaking Punch, so that might put your opponent in an awkward position. We play 1 Hex Maniac just because we need something to get around stuff like Aegislash-EX. It's also good to kind of shut off abilities like Shaman-EX. And since we don't play Silent Lab, I think this is a nice little compromise. And then lastly, we play AZ because if we start to get damaged, we want to go ahead and scoop up the Seismitoad. And yeah, you know, it's basically kind of like a heal card. It's kind of like a switch card. It's a very good utility card, and I do recommend it. The great thing is that it pairs pretty well with Puzzle of Time. If I have to get rid of double colorless energy, I can always get it back with Puzzle of Time. So that's pretty much it, guys. And like I said, we play Fighting Fury Belt to put it in range of that Mega to give it the extra attack. And, you know, I think that's pretty much it. You know, we play Trainer's Mill. That's going to let us look at the top 4 and pick a trainer and put it in our hand. Considering over 2/3 of our deck, I mean, look at this, you know, 41 trainers. Considering 2/3 of our deck are trainer cards, you know, it's awesome. You know, it's a great way of accelerating through the deck and getting the trainer card you need. So, otherwise, this deck looks pretty good to me. I think it's a nice balance of a lot of great supporters, a lot of disruption cards, and of course, Slowking, which is a very underrated card. I think it's going to see more play in the future. But that's pretty much it, guys. That is Seismitoad Slowking. So let me know in the comments what you think about it. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to check out our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/TopDeckNation. And of course, check out our website, TopDeckNation.com. Show your support. We are doing articles. We're doing, a lot of great stuff on the website. We'll have a card database pretty soon where you can look at high quality scans. So be sure to check that out. But guys, this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation, and I will definitely have more state championship deck profiles in the future, so be sure to be on the lookout. But guys, I will catch you guys in the next one. I hope you like this video.